Wayne Shorter caught a cab. He was 89 years old. His music is eternal. He left his body behind, but his legacy is something we're going to celebrate as long as people are listening to music. He's playing with Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers, Miles Davis Quintet of the 60s, Weather Report, his own groups after Weather Report, including his last quartet, the opera he wrote with Esperanza Spalding, the incredible creativity that Wayne Shorter brought to this music. And also, for those of us who are lucky to actually speak with him, an incredible mind. I've done a lot of interviews in the past 50 years with many great musicians and many great people as well. But it's rare to encounter someone with the intellect of Wayne Shorter, a man grounded in a strong Buddhist faith, with an incredible sense of humor and an inquiring mind that came out in his music in so many interesting ways. The first time I saw Wayne live was his last year with Miles, when they had recorded In a Silent Way and the music was going to move in an entirely different direction. Interesting that they would bring that music to that particular venue, which did happen back then. There's a lot of cross-pollination between different types of music. Miles and Wayne and everyone in that group really had their ears open and wanted to push music in another direction. Shortly after Wayne left Miles, with Joe Zawinul, they formed Weather Report. I heard Weather Report's first New York gig at the Cafe A Go-Go with Miroslav Vitus on bass, Alphonse Mouzon on drums, and Dam Ramau on percussion. That was the first Weather Report. I mean, that was just unbelievable. And 5 years later, I heard Weather Report at the Beacon Theater with Wayne and Joe, and then this new guy, Jaco Pastorius on bass, Peter Erskine on drums. They played as a quartet that night. And that was around the time Birdland was released. Jaco was an amazingly entertaining performer, jumping all around the stage. The music, incredible. A few years after that, I got into Buddhism. I started chanting. And my friend Walter Bishop Jr. took me backstage before the VSOP band with Herbie Hancock, Wayne Shorter, Freddie Hubbard, Ron Carter, and Tony Williams played at Avery Fisher Hall at Lincoln Center. We got there like maybe 45 minutes before the gig, and I met these guys. Of course, I had admired them so greatly. Part of the practice of Buddhism, twice a day, involved chanting Nam-myoho Renge Kyo and also this.
Myoho Renge Kyo, Hoben Bondai Ni, Niji Sensonju Sammayan Joni Kigo Sharyoju Shobu Jie Jinjin Muryogo Jie Monange Nanyu Isa Shomon Yakushi Butsu Shofu no Chi Sho Isaga. And when Wayne Shorter mentioned to me that he was going to go into a practice room and do that, I asked if I could join him because I was practicing that at the same time. But Wayne Shorter, it was almost like being on the bandstand with Wayne Shorter. He started chanting and I could not keep up. We chanted Nam-myoho Renge Kyo together, and then 10 minutes later they were on stage, sold out house. That was music at an extremely high level. The next time I encountered Wayne Shorter was in 1996 or 97. This was when he had his band, as I call it, his High Life band, that recording on Verb that Marcus Miller produced, that did not meet with much favor. In fact, after they played Town Hall in New York, Peter Watrous, who was then the jazz writer for the New York Times, jazz critic for the New York Times, gave the concert and the review a real thumbs down, and the rest of the tour got canceled. A couple days before that gig at Town Hall, I got to spend the day with Wayne Shorter, rehearsing for that gig and just hanging out. And spending time with Wayne Shorter was a real gift.
a conversation with Wayne Shorter went in many different directions, from science fiction to comedy to existentialism to Buddhism to John Coltrane. It could go anywhere. And after spending that time with him, I could hear his voice when I heard him play after that. I could hear the way he spoke in his music, in his improvisations on tenor saxophone and soprano saxophone. That was the last time I saw him live. I really enjoyed the music he played with his final quartet with John Patitucci and Danilo Perez and Brian Blade. What a remarkable man. What a musical legacy. I will miss him. Wayne Shorter was a man who was always thinking, always looking, always moving forward, always considering the wider implications of things. I don't think he saw this life as just one thing, but part of a much greater structure. But he was a man of deeply held spiritual beliefs. I love you, Wayne Shorter. I'll be listening to your music as long as I'm on this planet, and it's always going to be a continuing source of inspiration. Thank you for being here. And as Sonny Rollins says, a job well done.